In today's video, I'm going to be sharing with you details of stock that's recently had over $1.5 billion in stock purchase and could potentially benefit from $100 a pound uranium supply squeeze. So stay tuned for details of that. And from MMTLP, we're going to be looking at over 1 billion shares over and also potential settlement and the cost of that at over $1,000 or around about $1,000 per share. So before we get started, let's have a look at what's happening in the market. So first of all, from Yahoo Finance, we can see this week inflation is in focus as the September Fed meeting nears, and what else to watch. So it is a huge week, and it was a little bit of an inconsistent week previously, but from Bloomberg we can see here traders are brushing off the inflation risk as they bet on a smooth rate path. Personally, I do think there will be an inflation cut, and I'm hoping for positive reaction from the market as well, which I do expect. So let's now look ahead to earnings for this week. So the significant ones that we will be watching in the Discord include Casey's, we have Oracle, we have Chewy, and I think the big one for me on Thursday will be Adobe, which we'll be watching closely, and I do expect to be on Adobe. So one of the things I'd now like to share with you that we shared exclusively in the Discord is my list of 17 top AI stocks to own in 2025 according to different areas. So the first one is the top AI chips and chip names. These include Nvidia, Micron and AMD. Then we have the consumer AI names set to dominate the landscape, and this one is Meta. The best cybersecurity name play on the AI theme. These include Crowd and also PANW, also known as Palo Alto Networks. If we look at the top large cap AI ideas, then we're including Google and also Microsoft, MSFT. The best AI turnaround names in the horizon for me are Apple and also Tesla, so keep an eye on both of those. The best AI energy play, we're looking at OKLO and also the tick symbol GEV, so also known as GE Verona, so keep an eye on Vernova and keep an eye on that. And the final one I shared is the best AI infrastructure names to play in terms of theme and covered recently in some videos is tick symbol CRWV, and the final one also featured as one of my best non-US stocks to hold is tick symbol NBIS, also known as Nebius. Let's have a look at tick symbol CCJ, also known as Cameco Corporation. So if we start off by having a look at a company profile, we can see here they provide uranium for the generation of electricity, and they operate through 3 segments, and these include uranium fuel services and Westinghouse. In terms of the company, the segments engage in the exploration of mining, milling, purchase, the sale of uranium concentrate, and in terms of recent news, we can see here from Forbes, uranium is potentially marching towards $100 a pound as supply is squeezed. And we've also had recently the earnings, and we can see here a press release from Business Wire. They have also provided a production update and looking at being strategically well positioned for continued long-term value creation. So let's have a look at the chart. What I'd like to share with you here is a chart for the year to date, and you can see just prior to May you could have caught this below the $40 mark, giving you a return of potentially close to 100%, but right now up over 47% in the year 2025, and currently trading at $75.85. And we can also see there is a dividend paying stock, and with a market cap just in excess of 33 billion. So let's now have a look at a company here described as fueling the future with uranium, and we can see here it is a key player in the uranium mining sector, and institutional investors are already taking note, as the company saw $1.5 billion in stock purchases in the past quarter, which I think is extremely bullish. Let's have a look at the financial performance, and we can see the revenue recently recorded was $3.14 billion, and that was an increase of 21.18% compared to the previous year. So excellent figures there. If we go back a little bit further, and I think we could look at revenue growth, we can see since 2022 it is growing 26%, 38%, 21% and 34.69%. the company is also profit making, so that's extremely healthy. If we now focus on the balance sheet, what I am impressed with here is the 98.808% cash growth, so the company is quite healthy. And I think if we move over to the balance sheet, we can see here total current assets just in excess of 1.8 billion, but what I think is more important is the total assets just in excess of 9.5 billion and total liabilities in excess of 2.8 billion. So certainly very, very cash rich, and not in any danger of having money problems. So from an analyst summary point of view, we can see it is a strong buy. The potential upside here is 15.7%, so certainly primed for more. But let's now focus on the squeeze. So potential $100 a pound as the supply is squeezed. So we can see from this recent article there is strong demand and there are disruptions to supply, and these have restored investor interest in uranium, which has outperformed most of the commodities over the previous month and could potentially keep rising. And I think what's interesting here in the next part of the article at the bottom, we can see potentially we could look at $125 for a pound, a peak price certainly being possible, and obviously one of the banks was forecasting a price of $80 a pound in the next 3 months, and a possible peak of $125 if a bull market develops. So certainly keep an eye out on this stock, ticker symbol CCJ. What I'd now like to do is go over some more reactions to one of the posts that was covered in the previous video from Gandalf, and this is with regard to potentially being over by $1 billion for MMTLP. What he stated as a reminder here is this could be the real reason that they did the U3 halt. 95% confident interval using some statistical and data analysis. We are past 1 billion shares over. So he has included some of the charts looking at number of shares in terms of histograms here, and it's also stated they can wipe away all the data but the numbers will not lie. So that's certainly very interesting. So let's have a look at some reactions. So what Jeff has stated, trying to understand this, and what Gandalf has stated here is a study was done to estimate how many shares are owned in total by 64,000 people, which is the number of investors. The total number of shares is very likely to be above 1 billion when taken into account any uncertainty. In other words, no matter how much you look at the maths, the total adds up to over 1 billion shares. So I think Jeff gets it, and Gandalf goes on to say this is a riddle in numbers and the answer depends on the eyes reading it. So and I'm sure that there are eyes reading it from many different ways. What Meta Lambo has stated, what do you think will happen next? Do you think it will get resolved, and will our time come? And I think Gandalf, like many of the other investors out there, have stated I think the company will get more options, and that requires the S1 to be effective, which is not yet, potentially going to be one of the longest, or if not the longest S1 not yet approved, and basically we are still waiting. So that's one of the reasons why it could potentially be significant. What Fox Hunter has stated here in terms of we're now past 1,000 days plus, so billions stolen, and we're certainly talking about billions. And if we look at $1,000 per share, then we're looking at a cost here around about $165 billion. So they can afford that after stealing trillions over the last 3 decades. However, we'll have to see how this plays out. And the final final thing I'd like to share with you is a post from Kristen talking about one of the disclosures from Gary Gensler and the deletion of his emails for dates which coincided with the MMTLP fiasco. So she stated here, investors have started asking for these emails, so apparently these have gone missing now. Investors were given some of Gary Gensler's text messages for a specific time period, but the question is, what were the text messages that were accidentally deleted, allegedly, should we say? And I think Gary Gensler has certainly got something to answer for in this. And finally, if you'd like to get a copy of our daily stock alerts as well as the weekly watch list, which we're going to share prior to trading on the Monday, you can join us. Details are in the description below. Thank you very much for watching. Please stay tuned.